Here we go on Crown Gambit, the new map added in this week's patch. We're going to take a look at Triple L's loadout here, as we do have a pause called from Red Team. It is a Stormbreaker, Lumberjack, Dual Tempest with a Mine Launcher facing on the right side. Their ally is the Bamboozle Moth. Turn game audio on. Nemesis Center, Judgment with a Gatling and Artemis, rear Harpoon Hwacha. And for their opponents, Fancy Cloud Dancers, Mercury Center Mobula with Light Flak, Light Carronade, Gatling, and Flare Gun. A pretty non-standard Mobula build. In their ally, the Bangarang, or the Beanagarang? I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. It is a Squid, Light Carronade, Banshee, Gatling. So Squid is a ship we have not seen at all in 2018. The prevalence of the Hwacha, the introduction of these very fast ships with heavy weapon mounts, the Shrike and Stormbreaker in particular, have made the Squid kind of just a non-factor. Once was a pretty strong Mobula counter, able to quickly get behind the ship's blind spot and just focus them down with Gatling, Banshee, and Mobula can't really do anything about it. But the ship very weak to Hwacha. Now, in this patch, Squid has received a bit of a tuning up. And we take a look at the patch notes really quick here. Longitudinal excel, turn excel, speed, all been bumped up a few degrees. And the hitboxes have been improved as well. So a lot of the hitboxes you see some of these outer sails has been removed, which is going to make the ship harder to hit, particularly the hull and balloon. So hopefully it just kind of tuning the ship up a little bit in the face of all these Alliance vessels that have very good acceleration numbers. And we'll see how it does here. The other major change is the introduction of the detonator gun, which I don't believe any of the ships are actually playing in this first game. And of course this map that we're currently on now, Crown Gambit. More content from Alliance being adapted to PvP. As the pause is now off, we have ships going in. Bangarang coming in low. Now, Red Team is playing a much longer range loadout than their opponent, so the burden is going to be on Blue Team to close the distance here. And Bangarang currently doing a good job of it, not really taking any damage. Nemesis shots not hitting here, one going into the balloon, but they're going to have the rear of the Bamboozle Moth. Now, problem is, Bamboozle Moth does have Hwacha on the rear, so the only safe place for the Squid really is going to be on either broadside, left or the right of the Judgment. And so the flying, they're going to have to be very careful here not to take a full Hwacha barrage. And looks like they might... Judgment not quite taking a look here. Looks like Gunner not in position. I believe they did... Squid did fly by the Hwacha, but Gunner was not ready in that rear gun mount to fire a shot off. And now Bangarang getting focused by the Bamboozle Moth. Armor is down, 2 engines down. Artemis shot picking them away. Squid already almost dead, while the Fancy Chimera gets the rear of the Bamboozle Moth. I don't think, based on the guns that the Chimera is bringing, I don't think they're going to have enough kill power to stop the Judgment from taking down their ally Squid. But Light Carronade from the Fancy Chimera knocks down the Judgment's balloon, allowing Bangarang to escape. And now Bamboozle Moth being locked down here. Light flak shots taking down the whole armor, finishing it off, but not doing any permanent damage. And now Decidicus moving in. Balloon down on the Fancy Chimera. Long range Stormbreaker picking away the blue Mobula, and Bamboozle Moth now has the Gatling on. Nemesis will finish them off. And down they go. First point on the board for Triple L. It seemed like Mobula had good control of the Bamboozle Moth, the Carronade proving very effective against the Judgment's large, kind of tall balloon. However, Decidicus, Mobula in pursuing the Judgment, gave their rear to the Stormbreaker, and Stormbreaker just focused them down with their long-range weapons. Bangarang just not contributing enough to the fight. I think this is probably going to be it. If that Gatling stays in arc, Bangarang taking damage, armor is down, Nemesis, Artemis, whatever. Finishing them off. 2 points on the board for Lepidoptera, Leviathan. And I don't know if this dual carronade strategy the blue team is bringing is going to work. A Stormbreaker kind of difficult to lock down with the carronade just because it's got such fast lateral movement, and the balloon has a very strange hitbox that could be pretty difficult to blend down. And because, you know, Stormbreaker is a high damage ship, even with that gun turret moved to the right side, having 3 long range weapons is basically a mobula set of guns on this tiny ship. So you definitely have to respect the damage output, which I don't believe blue team was doing. You know, we don't see Stormbreaker, not really a popular ship since it got nerfed, and even when it was popular, not really brought as a long range vessel. Usually the smaller, faster, more nimble ships are taking advantage of using close range weapons like Hwacha, being able to dart into targets' blind spots, close the distance very quickly. Now, Bangarang already focusing the Bamboozle Moth. Balloon not down with the first clip, but I think second clip will get it. And so they're going to duck down while the Dosidicus and the Fancy Chimera go at it. Bangarang blending Bamboozle Moth to the ground. Dosidicus dropping down as well. I'm seeing if they're maybe going to try to dual focus the blue squid with their ally. Currently, Lumberjack shot still trying to hit the Chimera. Now, the battle between the Dosidicus Fancy Chimeras, balloon goes down. The battle between the Stormbreaker and the Mobula largely going to come down to gun disables. You see, the Dosidicus has a Lumberjack. It has balloon control. Chimera as a Mobula does not have that. They're going to be relying on that center Mercury gun to keep the Lumberjack disabled. And if they miss a disable, it means their balloon is toast. However, they've managed to rebuild their balloon. They managed to move into close range where the Lumberjack is not quite as effective. And this is forcing Dosidicus to disengage, at least for the time being. Chimera does have those close range guns, but Stormbreaker being such a fast ship, it's going to be pretty difficult for the Mobula to keep up with them. Well, depending on how aggressively Dosidicus wants to play. You see Gatling gets an arc and they just start zooming away. And light flak shots come in after the whole armor, already rebuilt. Now, in the meantime, Bangarang still blending down the Bamboozle Moth. This is another situation. They're keeping the Judgment in control. Bamboozle Moth just has no chance to really get their balloon up without the help of their ally. However, you see how long it's taking them to actually kill this Judgment. And that is probably the main downside of this type of build, particularly a light Carronade Banshee-based build, which we see on the Squid, sometimes used to see on Pyramidian Carronade-based builds. Judgment finally goes down. Banshee just does not offer much damage, so thankfully for them, Fancy Chimera has been able to hold their own against the Stormbreaker, which means Bangarang has all the time they need. They can just sit on the Judgment Balloon forever, and I think Dosidicus is just going to fly into the terrain, reset their ship, and now Fancy Cloud Dancers tying up the score. I definitely feel like Dosidicus could have done more damage there in that range fight. You think, you know, you take a look at Fancy Chimera's loadout, they really only have 2 long-range weapons, Mercury and Light Flak, one that is capable of gun disables. No Artemis on this Mobula, which I might say is maybe not non-optimal. This is maybe not the best Mobula you could be running, but FCD pilot Daniel, known for running his own, he flies his own way. He plans out his own build, so well, it worked out. However, just on paper, I would think Stormbreaker would have the advantage simply because they have the Lumberjack, they have the Artemis, they have much greater disable potential. Now, red team spawned back in Bamboozle Moth, currently targeting the Fancy Chimera, so a little bit of switched roles here, with the Judgment going for the Mobula, flying past, I think, maybe Bamboozle Moth hoping to get a Hwacha Barrage on the Bangarang, but not working out, so instead opting keep front gun on the Squid, potentially gonna, looks like Harpoon went out, not sure if it connected or not, but Hwacha does hit the Mobula. But in doing so, and Bamboozle Moth just gunning for the Mobula, they once again expose themselves to the carronade of the squid, so they're getting blended down. Fancy Chimera putting out that side Gatling to help out, while Dositicus goes for the Chimera. Chimera's armor and balloon is down. They're using Drogue Shoot, trying to stay in the air. Light flak shots, not the light flak shots, whatever this gun is. Tempest. These are unarmed Tempest shots. Hitting the Chimera, and Tempest, kind of a weak weapon, but once the armor is down, especially with these ships that have a wide hull profile, if all those ships hit, those, wow, Judgment's dead too. If all the shots hit, Tempest can do a surprising amount of damage, especially when you're stacking them up. So, score once again tied up, and now we're going to have a duel between the Squid and the Dositicus, and Dositicus needs to get out of here, because they're not going to be able to deal with this carronade. I mistakenly said the ship has an Artemis, but no, it actually is running dual Tempest, so they really have nothing. They have the mine launcher, which you do actually see them get a mine hit on Bangarang. However, the Squid can probably outmaneuver the Stormbreaker and beat them in a 1v1 duel, especially once the balloon is blended down to the carronade. Now, Bamboozle Moth has spawned back in, so that makes this a little bit more complicated, and Bangarang, balloon, and whole armor is down. Fancy Chimera a little far away, and because Chimera is bringing that kind of hybrid close long range with a weak long range, they're not really going to be able to help at this range. Squid is kind of on their own. They may be taking a killing Hwacha barrage here. Harpoon goes out, Hwacha hits them, but the armor is up. Enough armor does not go down, but they do get 3 engines, and Bangarang is struggling. They have just a sliver of health left, and if they take another Hwacha barrage, that might be it. Dositicus moving in. These unarmed Tempest shots might be enough to finish them off if we get a dual focus from Legio Lepidoptera. Very perilous position. Lumberjack shot hits. Balloon, next one, unarmed, but Balloon does go down. Still having trouble with those engines. Fancy Chimera needs to get in here more quickly if they want to save their ally, but I think, the positioning from Chimera is weird because they're kind of inching forward very slowly. They're not really contributing a lot to this fight, but it's almost like they're halfway between committing and not. But I do feel like if Squid goes down, Chimera is certainly going to go down with them. They're not going to be able to escape from a Stormbreaker chasing them down. But at least for the moment, it does seem like FCD has saved the Squid. You have to be very careful. The Gatling, as soon as they have so little health, Gatling does go down. 1 Nemesis shot. So this plan not working out for FCD, and now Fancy Chimera has spent all that time. They're slowly moving forward. They're like, is the Squid going to die? Are they not going to die? They didn't know, and now they've moved so far forward. They have no way to disengage. They get dual teamed, and Triple L taking the first game in this set, the first Crown Gambit game in competitive history. And they're going to go up 1 point in this best of 5 set. Here we go, second game in this best of 5 set between Triple L and FCD. First off, for the Fancy Cloud Dancers, we have the Bamboozle Moth, Judgment, with the front Minotaur, Light Flat, Gatling, rear Harpoon, Hwacha, their ally, GFA Wind Troll, Light Carronade Artemis, Light Flak, and Gatling Gun. Their opponents, Fancy Cloud Dancers, we have the Dust Rider, Stormbreaker with Hwacha, Gatling, Light Carronade, and a Mortar on the top. And finally, Team Rocket, left side Carronade, dual Banshee with the right side Gatling Mortar. Already teams charging directly into the center of the map with Bamboozle Moth. Balloon blended down by the Team Rocket. GFA Wind Troll now going for the Judgment, but getting outmaneuvered as Team Rocket ducks down that increased Junker vertical acceleration. Currently focusing the Bamboozle Moth. Banshee's going into the balloon. I believe 3 ships in this game, bringing... I'll just double check here. I'm pretty sure both blue ships do have light carronades, so teams playing very aggressively for this closer range map. Currently Dust Rider focusing the wind troll as the wind troll ducks down behind, below the terrain. Gonna make it difficult for that heavy weapon. Watch is not going to be able to hit from that high vertical altitude. However, Tar coming out from Team Rocket, big connection on the Bamboozle Moth and GFO wind troll. Both the red ships are going to get totally disabled if they don't get out of this Tar, and the Team Rocket just sneaks away. Look at those components going down on the left side. Bamboozle Moth, they have nothing. They have hull armor and an engine. They're just stewing in their own filth at the bottom of the map. Team Rocket, he's out of here. Dust Rider, currently not going to be able to deal a kill shot to either of these two ships, but Gatling is keeping the Bamboozle Moth's armor low, as now Team Rocket moves in with the Gatling mortar side. Artemis, looks like both the mortar and the Gatling goes down on the Team Rocket. If Team Rocket gets the side of this Pyramidion, Junker will definitely win that exchange, so Wind Troll has to be very careful about exposing their broadsides to the opponents. Keep the Artemis on the Junker, keep those light weapons on the lower deck suppressed. Bamboozle Moth losing armor, Banshee going in to the hull. They go down. First point on the board for Fancy Cloud Dancers, and now Wind Troll. This is one of the problems with the Pyramidion. They're going to go for a ram, but they're not going to be able to escape from this situation. They don't have the mobility, and now they're going to get dual teamed. Currently just the Dust Rider, Team Rocket, having a little bit of trouble regaining that vertical ascension. But as soon as those guns come into arc, yeah, that's going to be it. Banshees, mortars, watch connection as well. Second point on the board for FCD. And so Pyramidion, not a ship we see very often in competitive play. In 2018, it just matches up really poorly against the Hwacha. The Hwacha-based ships are just so much stronger, and they can effectively fly circles around the kind of sluggish triangle ship. However, we do see it occasionally on Periton Rumble, just because the ship has the map has a lot of hard terrain pieces, a lot of tight corridors, alleys, basically a lot of different angles that you can charge on an opponent in a straight line and not give them a lot of time to react. So we do see Pyramidion. This is really the only map the ship is played on, and even so, it's not popular amongst all teams. However, Triple L bringing it here. Wind Troll trying to get those Artemis shots in the Team Rocket. Well, the Team Rocket hiding behind terrain, rising up now. Dust Rider going for the Bamboozle Moth. Gatling hitting the Stormbreaker. Minotaur shots. Oh man, they get Minotaur, knocks him into the Wind Troll and they die. First point for Triple L. Team Rocket now not going to be able to get a kill. Pyramidion, they see the Gatlings trying to hit the Wind Troll, but they're too far away. And unless we see some fancy flying from the blue Junker, they're going to get dual teamed here in a few seconds. We'll see if the Pyramidion Judgment composition is going to be able to keep up with them. As Team Rocket, no. Minotaur are going to make it too hard. Yeah, look at those big fat hits from the Bamboozle Moth. And they're going to reset this ship for sure. Score once again tied up. This has been a very close set. And the Tar for good measure. So yeah, those light flaks doing big damage. Dust Rider has spawned in across the map. We'll see how FCD decides to approach this next game. That was the start to that fight was a little bit unfortunate. The positioning from blue allowing the Stormbreaker just basically getting mowed down by the Minotaur, pushed into the Pyramidion, and then dying from impact damage. A little bit unfortunate. One of those like once in 50 games kind of situations. And that is also one of the problems with bringing a Stormbreaker or a Shrike on these closer range maps, is you have a lot less room to maneuver in, which is really the only reason you bring one of these types of ships, is being able to kind of dance around your opponents, quickly switch between the broadside to the rear, fly above them, below them. But if you're in kind of a tight corridor with buildings all around, that becomes so much more difficult, because as soon as you hit one of those buildings, you will just, boom, big chunk of health gets knocked out. And that's what we saw there. Now, Team Rocket moving in a little bit early. Stormbreaker doesn't have any long-range weapons, so... however, Bamboozle Moth does lose their balloon, so Light Carronade disable from Team Rocket works very well. And with Judgment falling out, we have potential dual focus from Fancy Cloud Dancer, GFA Wind Troll taking 2 Gatling guns, trying to keep their armor up. They have no engines, they're getting destroyed. Mortar picking them apart. And now Bamboozle Moth left on their own. We'll see how they tank through this, but it's going to be very difficult against 2 Gatling guns. They're charging forward. They're going to try to barrel through the Stormbreaker's position with Dust Rider angling around to adjust. They're running. Stormbreaker not quite in the correct angle to pursue. Bamboozle Moth hitting a building. Hwacha did not connect, getting knocked off by that sudden change in ship orientation. And now they're just getting charged to the bottom of the map. Carronade shot, balloon, building damage. I think Bamboozle Moth going to be going down here. And now FCD on match point. Pyramidion has not spawned in just yet, so we'll see where they decide to come in here. We are currently fighting on red side of the map, so we may see either this is a red spawn point that we're looking at right here, so we could see a point blank spawn from Legio Lepidoptera. We could also see a C1 spawn, C1B1, which it looks like is currently the direction that FCD is heading in. The southernmost row of the map. No, look at that. As soon as FCD leaves, Legio Lepidoptera spawns in behind them. And Pyramidion, I believe, is still visible to the Stormbreaker, so FCD will realize this and turn around. You see Team Rocket very slowly turning around on the map while the Dust Rider is hanging back to hold that mobility. But they're ready to duck behind a building if necessary. And you see, as soon as they start taking Artemis shots, they lose that mortar, duck behind the terrain. Red Team's position is known. Separated by just these 2 buildings. Team Rocket inching forward. Legio Lepidoptera playing this very carefully. They do not want to give up this game. They have the lead in the set, and they want to keep it. Now Team Rocket, here we go, moving in. Bamboozle Moth's backing up, but they don't have a lot of room to maneuver. Building right behind them. Red Team attempting to dual focus the Team Rocket while Dust Rider moves in. Are Dust Rider going to get a Hwacha connection, or are they just going to get pushed back to the bed? The Minotaur, boom! Oh, big connection with the front of the Bamboozle Moth. Minotaur making it so the Stormbreaker was not able to dodge it. And now Team Rocket, the tables have been turned. What looked like potential dual focus from blue. Now Team Rocket is the one in trouble, getting their engines picked away by the Artemis of the Wind Troll. I think Pyramidion is going to go for a ram if the Team Rocket doesn't... Well, let's see. Team Rocket positioning is good. There's a big pillar in the way. Team Rocket losing their armor. Wind Troll actually backing away, keeping the Artemis in arc. Well, the Minotaur from the Bamboozle Moth pushing them into the ground. Junker has nowhere to go. And I think in just a moment, this game is going to be tied up again. Yes, Triple L puts a 4th point on the board. Well, the Dust Rider in the distance just slowly backs away. They spawned in. They thought maybe they could save their ally, but unable to do so, they're going to go and hide. And this is suddenly become a very close game. The Minotaur in particular, it seems like Bamboozle Moth doing their best to try to focus that Stormbreaker, and it just makes it so difficult. Stormbreaker being a ship with fast forward, backward, longitudinal movement, but not good turning, so it doesn't have a good way to really recover from those Minotaur shots. And along with the piercing damage from the Minotaur, just keeping that small amount of hull armor that the Stormbreaker has access to, keeping that repaired, very annoying, and takes people off of guns. So FCD been having a lot of difficulty dealing with that. Now Team Rocket spawned back in, coming in low, using that balloon, blocking the downward fire, keeping a pretty far position. GFA Wind Troll pensively moving in. They have good downward arc with the Artemis. Dust Rider coming in the background. It looks like they're going to try to sneak around and hit one of these two ships. FCD might be trying to get a quick gank on the Wind Troll. We'll have a dual focus in just a moment. Team Rocket moving forward, going for the Tar as Dust Rider comes in with that Watcha, although it's a little too far to be effective. It does finish off the Wind Troll's guns in combination with the Tar damage, but armor still healthy. Wind Troll just backs away. Tar mostly ineffective. And FCD really not capitalizing on that good position that the Stormbreaker had. Now that Stormbreaker is spotted, they've lost the element of surprise. Team Rocket moving in on the Bamboozle Both, trying to see where the Minotaur are currently still hitting the Junker. So Dust Rider, at least for the moment, is uncontested. They're moving in. Hwachi connection. Big hits on the Bamboozle Moth, taking down the Minotaur and the Javelin, while the Wind Troll blends down the Team Rocket. Wind Troll, both the Wind Troll and the Team Rocket have lost their balloons, rebuilt them. So blender duel to the bottom of the map, while the Dust Troll goes for the Bamboozle Moth. Bamboozle Moth lost their balloon as well. All ships just sinking. And now Gatling on the Wind Troll. Pyramidine could be the first to die here, but no, Dust Rider unable to keep... Oh wait, armor is down. They're on the mortar side of the Stormbreaker, but the mortar is not ready, so they don't get any permanent damage on the Wind Troll, with Bamboozle Moth still struggling to regain their altitude. Team Rocket staying on their blind side. And now mortar shots coming in. Bamboozle Moth getting picked away. 60% health is gone. Banshee's hitting the balloon. Wind Troll's moving in. They're going for a ram, but they hit the terrain. It halts their downward descent. And now Team Rocket is out of arc, but they can still fire those upward Banshee shots. What is Dust Rider going to do? Wind Troll, Wind Troll misses their ram. Team Rocket maybe going to get away here as the Bamboozle Moth loses their armor. Big Tar hit as well, hitting the Wind Troll. Engines getting damaged. Wind Troll trying to recover Bamboozle Moth. Very little health. Wind Troll, half health, armor burning down. No balloon. Banshees come out. No Hwacha, but I think the Light Flax able to finish them off, and FCD able clutching it out in that scramble situation at the end of that Periton game. That was very close, and it means they are tying up this best of 5 set for SCS 221. Third game in our tied up set between FCD and Triple L. First off, for the former of those two teams, we had the Mad Dog Cerberus. Mercury Banshee Pyramidion with the left side Gatling flare gun. Pause being called immediately. Their ally is the Bangarang. Squid coming back. Gatling Banshee light carronade. Their opponents, Triple L, who I believe are the ones who did call the pause here at the beginning of this water hazard match. They are bringing the GFA Salvager. Dual Tempest on the left side, front Artemis. The right side Gatling light flak. And finally, the Confused Moth Stormbreaker with the Minotaur, light flak Artemis, and Gatling gun. So this Triple L really likes their Tempest. I've been noticing this these past few weeks. So many games just bringing dual Tempest builds. The gun that at first glance you would think it's very low damage. It doesn't really disable anything. It doesn't have good shatter damage or piercing or flechette or any of piercing, any of the damage types that you typically associate with effective long range weapons. However, the one element of the Tempest is that it is very annoying. It has so many, because it's the way the gun works is basically a projectile that fires out and then splits into a bunch of little tiny rockets that all register their own individual hits. And what this means is that in combination with certain damage types, in this case it looks like they're using a burst on this Junker, this gun can set a lot of fires, and it can just set fires constantly. It's extremely easy to hit with. It uses kind of a homing system, which makes it unique amongst the guns in this game, that you hold down the left click and the rocks just fly around and will follow your targeting reticle. So It is extremely easy to hit with in almost any situation, which makes it just, it creates kind of a constant pressure of these fires that are being set all over the ship. And then as the crew that you're targeting is struggling to deal with all these annoying explosions, once the whole armor goes down, and then the power of the Tempest truly comes into effect, because Tempest has a lot of explosive damage if all those little rockets hit one target, it can do a surprisingly large amount of damage. So that's why we see Triple L have been experimenting a lot with it lately to good effect, winning games, and we see them bringing it again here on Water Hazard as Bangarang moves in. Easy dual focus for blue team. Mad Dog Cerberus is being completely ignored. That Mercury Banshee, I'm just gonna double check here. Yeah, Mercury Banshee just not contributing enough to the fight, although you do see left side Gatling gun coming out a bit from the Pyramidion, and now Bangarang moving in on the Salvager. Confused Moth currently focusing the Pyramidion, Squid being uncontested. And I think this is another build where Daniel, the pilot of the Pyramidion, is going to be trying to go for rams, and armor is down on the Junker, so if the Pyramidion is able to connect with a solid hit, they could do a lot of damage, but because Salvager's balloon goes down, they drop out of connection angle. And I think that's probably going to be the only way that the Mad Dog is going to be able to get a kill, just relying on the Banshee for kill power. Confused Moth eating up the Squid. First point for Triple L. Mad Dog is not going to be able to get a fast kill here, and I just think the mobility of the Junker is going to make it a little too difficult for them to actually get that connection. This is, again, the type of build that this pilot likes to, that Daniel, the pilot of the Pyramid, really likes to run, but it definitely has weaknesses. And you see here, even getting hit with that tar, Salvagers just scooting past Junker's mobility, being too much for Mad Dog Cerberus to really deal with. And now with Confused Moth contributing to the fight as well, Pyramidion will be going down here in just a moment. Very clean one fight for the Lepidoptera team. I don't know how well these low damage type compositions are really going to work. Problem with the Squid, I mentioned in the first game on Crown Gambit, Squid is a very fast ship and has in the past been used as a counter to certain types of builds or strategies, particularly the Mobula, because you can outmaneuver, and Mobula has a very exposed top hull that you can quickly focus down with a single Gatling gun. But the Junker is a different beast entirely. And Junker, as far as I'm concerned, has always been a counter to the Squid. It has fast turning acceleration, so it's able to keep gun arcs in close range, and it has enough hull armor that the single Gatling gun that the Squid is able to bring will usually not penetrate. It usually takes 2, sometimes even 3 clips of Gatling to get through that hull armor. I don't think the Squid is a very good choice to play against strong Junkers. It just doesn't have the damage necessary to take him out. So in this case, taking that into consideration, Red Team, I think, probably was relying on Mad Dog to just ram down the Salvager's balloon and smash them. But so far, Junker's been able to outmaneuver them. And so the FCD strategy just not working out. However, next fight has begun. Bangarang has the rear of the Junker. Minotaur shots coming out. Looks like targeting the Pyramidion, while the Bangarang flies right into a big fat wad of tar from the Salvager. Dual focus from Red Team on the Confused Moth. Stormbreaker gonna have to disengage, reverse behind the terrain. Now, Stormbreaker is the squishier of the two ships, so even though Red Team is not packing a lot of heat, the Confused Moth has to be careful not to get dual focused. And now Gatling gun from the Bangarang currently targeting the Salvager, while Mad Dog tries to keep the Confused Moth at bay with his Mercury. But the Confused Moth can easily evade the arcs of that limited arc gun, the Mercury. So most of those shots are not hitting. And now Mad Dog, look at that. Look at the big Tempest connection. Look how much damage it does. Oh, that gun is, it's kind of absurd. Like, it's a weird gun because it's kind of weak, but it's also kind of very strong. and Bangarang, neither of these red ships are really able to close the distance to do what they execute the strategy they want to execute. Bangarang, light flax within arming time, still enough to take out the low health of the squid, and things are looking rough for FCD. Mad Dog, Mad Dog's done. Match point for Triple L. I don't know what they do here. They can do here, because not only have Blue definitively won those last two fights, but look how little damage that FCD has actually done. The Stormbreaker still almost at full health, about 85%. I mean, the red team's just they're getting stomped. This is a true stomping. And now this is a best of 5 set. It's currently 1-1, so they lose this game, they're still into it. They're still in the tournament. But it's going to be a tough comeback. It will mean they have to win the next 2 games back to back. As we see FCD spawning back in. Mercury currently targeting, looks like the Junker. Looks like maybe switching the Confused Moth, maybe splitting focus a bit. As Bangarang moves in, hits the Stormbreaker. Defensive Gatling gun from the Bangarang as they get the weak side of the Confused Moth, and the dual focus here comes in as Stormbreaker just gets isolated in open air. Salvager too far back to really dissuade their opponents from killing the Stormbreaker. And now we have our first point on the board for FCD. Salvager stuck out here. Probably not going to be able to escape. Potentially a second point. Potentially the opportunity for Red to mount a comeback. And 2 Gatlings here. Mad Dog using that left side Gat to double up on the damage. With 2 Gatlings, they're able to actually kill that Junker armor and finish them off. Now Red has some momentum. We'll see what they do. I think Legio Lepidoptera may be getting a little too complacent with their lead. The Stormbreaker not reacting quickly enough to deal with that dual focus from FCD. And we'll see if they play the next fight a little bit more carefully as Salvager spawns in. Confused Moth as well. They're taking the east side protected spawn. And this is probably a good place for them to play because it means Cerberus is not going to have as many opportunities to get those long-range Mercury shots, and Bangarang's mobility options will be limited. I would like to see them play closer to this terrain, which is what they didn't do in that last fight. Now Bangarang moving in. Confused Moth already getting Bansheed down. 60% whole armor, or whole health is gone. Mad Dog Cerberus has moved in, exposing themselves to the Salvager. Salvager needs to turn to that DPS side and finish off this Pyramidian. This Confused Moth is getting focused down again, and Bangarang, I'm not sure if they were able to connect with the front of the ship or if that was just Banshees. But Confused Moth is now, FCD has identified the Stormbreaker as the weak link in this team, and once the Stormbreaker is down, Salvager is unable to deal with both the enemy ships, so now they're reversing away. Potentially very gonna see this game tied up. See if they're able to tank up. Hull armor is still healthy, so there certainly is a possibility. They're right next to a blue spawn point, so there's a possibility that the Junker will be able to survive through this. And Confused Moth does spawn in close, but the armor is being blended down. Gatling coming in, Mercury finishing it off from the Cerberus. They don't want to take any permanent damage. 2 Banshee shots connect. Junker, stay alive. Confused Moth is almost ready to lend its long-range fire, but no. If they had been able to stay alive a few more seconds, they might have been able to turn around this fight, but now potentially throwing away the Stormbreaker as well. It's going to be very difficult for this Confused Moth to escape from a Squid. Squid has the mobility stats to keep up with them. And armor is currently burning. I think next Gatling clip will finish it off. Salvager spawns in close. Minotaur from the Confused Moth is disabled. Salvager dual focusing Squid. Bangarang has to disengage, so Confused Moth actually gets the opportunity to get to safety. I think first ship to die here is going to be the one to get the dual focus, and currently Mad Dog rising up to hit the Confused Maw Salvager, trying to tar the squid, hitting their ally a little bit, but the squid definitely taking the brunt of that fire. But is it going to stop them from chasing down the blue Stormbreaker? I'm not sure. Confused Moth trying to run to safety, and this is bad because they're running away from their ally. Salvager is not going to be able to keep up with that Gatling gun. Squid moving in, armor is down, Banshee shots coming in, Stormbreaker so low. Next armor break will finish them off, and they go down with the help of the Mad Dog Cerberus. The Stormbreaker retreated away from their ally. The Junker is a slow ship. It was unable to keep up, so they just got dual focused by FCD, and that means Fancy Cloud Dancers looked like they're going to be going down in this best of 5 set, but actually taking the lead here 2-1. 5 kills in a row. Triple L just falling apart in the second half of that game. Fourth game of the day here at SCS 221. First off, for FCD, we have the Fancy Hydra Mercury Dual Artemis Mobula with the left side Hades, right side Gatling gun. Their ally is the Bangarang, Gatling Banshee, Light Carronade Squid. Triple L, the Decidicus, Lumberjack, Dual Tempest Mine Launcher Stormbreaker with, looks like, Gatling Dual Artemis on the left side of the Junker with a Gatling and a Mortar. Mobula, Fancy Hydra opting this time during a more standard long-range Mobula build, so they're going to red team realizing that they need probably a little bit more of a punch, damage punch to deal with their opponents. Mobula is going to be packing that this game, and already Decidicus armor went down, lost 95% of their health, and this may be it. Banshee able to finish them off. A quick first point for FCD, just mowing down their opponents. Lamp probably not going to be able to deal with both the opposing red ships. They could try to get maybe like a dual Artemis kill on the Bangarang, but I don't. Given the Artemis damage, disables coming in from Fancy Hydra, I don't see that being possible. So probably just want to try to survive as long as they can, see if they don't give up another point. Armor being rebuilt. Looks like triple tanked here. Gunner and the 2 engineers. Very fast rebuild. But the armor goes down again. Artemis shot does connect. Banshees come down, and Junker gets bowed out of the sky. Looked like they were going to be able to survive there, but I think they maybe should have stayed on triple tank mode a little bit longer. That second rebuild was a little bit slow. And now red team is moving to the southwest cathedral spawn. So-called cathedral spawn because of this not really cathedral-shaped rock, but it's a name and it sounds cool and I like saying it, so I'm going to keep calling it Cathedral Spawn, which is where blue team does rejoin the game. Bangarang moving in. Fancy Hydra potentially going to get zoned out by the terrain if Triple L is able to realize and capitalize on this. But the Bangarang is actually leading them into open air. Lamp, realizing this, decides to back out, realizing the Mobula is hiding in the cloud. Spot does go down. So Fancy Hydra's position is now known. And looks like Triple L does not want, they want to stay behind this terrain in its safety. And they have the opportunity to get a dual focus, because Bangarang is playing very aggressively, but they might be able to get a kill before the Lamp is able to actually do anything to stop them. Decidicus half health, Bangarang moving in again with the Gatling gun. As Fancy Hydra moves into close range using the Mercury and the dual Artemis at point blank. I don't think there's the Gatling gun. Lamp gonna lose its armor. Junker could go down here. I think they're dropping. Oh, Fancy Hydra lost their balloon to the Lumberjack from the Decidicus, so they actually lost their Artemis gun arcs, lost their kill power, and now Fancy Hydra's getting their armor shredded down but are they going to, is one of the Mobula or the Junker, one of these two guys going to be able to get a kill before Bangarang is able to pick up the Docidicus? I think mortar shots coming in. Fancy Hydra is almost dead, but the Docidicus is almost dead as well. Squid blending it down, mortar from the lamp, gets the first kill. I think Docidicus, yes, goes down as well, which means 3-1 in the favor of FCD, currently playing in blue spawn, so I don't think Bangarang wants to take this fight. Certainly not with the Gatling Banshee. They do have that rear light carronade, but it seems like they are opting to take their lead and disengage, which is definitely the smart play here. I don't think they want to take a 1v1 with that Junker. So it seems like that's the primary strategy for FCD, is use the Bangarang to contest the Stormbreaker. Because the Squid has the speed to keep up with the Stormbreaker, and the Docidicus's build doesn't really have any close-range firepower to deal with them. And I think part of the strategy, they do have that mine launcher, but one of the weaknesses of the Stormbreaker, particularly versus a Squid, is the Squid's main advantage is it has much better turning acceleration than the Stormbreaker. So despite the fact that the Docidicus does have that mine launcher, it's very difficult for them to keep it in arc. Now, Bangarang already charging into blue team's encampment, taking Gatling gun from the lamp, so I'm not sure how long they're going to be able to stay in this fight. Fancy Hydra focusing the Stormbreaker, which means lamp pretty much has free reign to take whoever they want. They might be able to get the blind spot of the Mobula, and that could be pretty bad. Although lamp is, for some reason, they stopped in front of the Mobula instead of trying to get behind them. Now Bangarang is just skating on by. Gatling gun from the lamp hitting the Squid. Docidicus retreating away. We'll see if Docidicus is able to get some lumberjack shots out while they try to outmaneuver this Squid. But Bangarang is currently taking a lot of damage from lamp. But they're within one mortar shot kill range, so Bangarang has to be careful. Fancy Hydra currently seems like FCD, or excuse me, Legio Lepidoptera has good control over this situation, as the Squid with low health here is going to have to be a lot more careful in their aggressive pursuits of the Stormbreaker, and you saw that there. They charged for the Docidicus, and lamp, still in Gatling range, was able to finish them off. And now Fancy Hydra, once again, we have a red ship stuck behind enemy lines. And with the Tempest and the Lumberjack, although the Lumberjack shots are all missing, they're not going to be able to get away from this. Balloon still goes down. A lot of Tempest shots landing, mortar shots coming in. Mortar taking them out. Lepidoptera, Leviathan tying up the score once again. Maybe catching on to FCD's game plan a little bit, using the Stormbreaker as bait for the Bangarang. Because each time, with them holding this closer position, the problem we saw at Water Hazard, particularly at the end of the game, when they took that protected spawn, is that the Stormbreaker was running from the Squid and they were running away from the Junker. Because the Junker is a slow ship, they can't keep up with the Stormbreaker, which meant blue team just naturally got separated, and then the Stormbreaker got dual focus. Lamp was unable to contribute, and that happened at the beginning of this game as well. But you see here in that last fight, the Lamp and Docidicus were playing much more closely together, which meant that anytime Bangarang was going for the Stormbreaker, the Lamp was in Gatling mortar range, would do enough damage to force the Squid to disengage and then eventually kill them. Now Bangarang, we're seeing the situation repeat, has gotten behind the blue team, with Fancy Hydra putting out some long-range fire, currently targeting the Lamp. We'll see if FCD decides to maybe split their fire a little bit more instead of going for the dual focus on the Stormbreaker, which didn't work out last time. Although armor is down, Banshee's down, so Stormbreaker still goes down. Lamp, you see how little health the Stormbreaker has. Junker was taken out of the fight for just a few seconds, and Squid was able to capitalize. So even at close position, it looks like the defensive formation from blue was not enough to save the Stormbreaker from the Bangarang, and this might be it. That's FCD taking the tournament, taking the tournament, taking Northern Fjords. We had some close games. I feel like that last fight, maybe Triple L going out with a bit of a whimper after clutching the previous fight to tie up the score. But that does mean that Fancy Cloud Dancers are your SCS 221 champions.